Okay, so in the previous lessons, we learned that the first argument to React's createElement method is the actual HTML element that we want to represent. And the second argument is an object representing the props, or equivalently the attributes or arguments that we want to pass to that element. But we still haven't tackled a very important part of real-world HTML, which is children. Our elements can have children within them. Our elements can have other elements, which in turn can have other elements, right? So a classic example, a div can have an unordered list that has a list item within it. But it's not just HTML elements within HTML elements, it's also things like pieces of text. Our anchor tag, for example, may have a piece of text between the opening A tag and the closing A tag that represents the text on screen that when clicked will lead to that link, that URL. So how do we use the createElement method to specify the children of the given element? The way we do that is by providing a third argument to createElement, and that is the child content of that element. So for example, what I will provide here is a string of Wikipedia. And when I save this, you're going to notice that now our anchor tag is going to be visible on our screen. It was always there, including in previous lessons, but there simply was no text to display for that anchor link, and that's why it didn't show up. But more importantly, if I go into my inspector and to my elements, and within my div with an ID of root, I find my A tag, you'll notice Wikipedia is the nested child content between the opening A tag and the closing A tag. So that is the child, it is the content in between. And that is what we specify with the third argument to the createElement method. The nested content, the internal content, the child content. Now, if I go to my console, we're still printing out the anchor tag React element, and we can see it right here. And just like in the previous lesson, we can see it has a type property, which represents the HTML element it is modeling. We have the props property, which is an object of the props. And you'll notice in here, we're going to have a children property set to Wikipedia. So the way that createElement processes the third argument right here is it automatically creates a children property on the props and passes in whatever we passed in, and React knows that that is going to be the child that is going to be placed between the opening element tag and the closing element tag. Now, as it turns out, there's actually a second way that we can provide child content, and that is by manually writing the children prop within this argument, the second argument, the object that we pass into createElement. So an alternative way to write this logic is removing Wikipedia and just manually writing the property children right here set to whatever we want to be the child content of this A tag. So if I provide Wikipedia and I save, we're going to get the exact same result. Right here in the Elements tab, we can see we have an anchor tag and Wikipedia is the child content. And right here in our console, we have our output React element, and in our props object, we're going to see that children prop set to Wikipedia. So either explicitly writing the children property here in our second argument or providing the children as the third argument to createElement, either one works. They both accomplish the exact same thing. They specify the children, or in other words, the nested elements, the nested content between the starting and opening tag. So here we have an A anchor tag, and this is specifying what's going to go between the opening A tag and the closing A tag. All right. All these other properties right here will become regular props, which means attributes on that HTML element right here. But the children one is special because React knows don't just add a children attribute to this A, but rather children represents the content to place right here in between the opening and closing tags. All right, that's all there is to cover in this lesson, so I will see you in the next one.